the tone for the showing. So when I've got a buyer and we get to the front door and there's cobwebs or it's not used and it's hard to get in the door and that type thing. I mean, neglect and all these negative things come to mind with the buyer, and that sets the tone, and they're going to look for all the negative things inside. And a lot of times buyers can drive by and say, they don't keep up the outside. I can only imagine what the inside that nobody sees, what it actually looks like. So it's definitely important to set that tone when we get that buyer to that door and or they're driving by from the street, looking in, saying super, super nice. It sets a tone. They're excited, and that's the mentality you want with that buyer walking through that front door. So there's simple things you can do as far as the potted plants, little pops of color. Don't go overboard. Don't feel like you're in a competition to have the prettiest door in the neighborhood. That's not the importance, but just have something that looks like someone lives there, someone keeps it up and appreciates the home and make it welcome. I always encourage my sellers, let's hang the lockbox in the front door. And usually the first question is, well, we don't have a key to the front door. So let's get a key to the front door, put that lockbox in the front door. That's usually the best view. It sets a better tone. We're not stepping over stuff coming through the friend's entry, the garage, where the kids dump the shoes and that type of thing. You just don't want that. You want a clear path into that front door where you get a much wider view of the living, and that's just naturally that front entry is important. So if you don't use your front door or it's neglected just because there's a much easier path into the house with neighbors and friends and family or whatever, go and spruce up. Maybe you need to restain, paint the front door, put some plants out. When it looks neglected, like I said, it just sets the tone for a bad show. We've got to overcome the first obstacle before we ever unlock the door. Going into fall this time of the year, people love the mums, the pumpkins, and that's all great. For instance, this right here is a simple planter with a palm. I've got some ligustrum and a croton here. It gives a pop of color. It's nice, it's simple, they're hardier stuff. And I've got these sitting in their individual pots, sitting in this larger pot, because I'll change this out. This is strictly seedable. So, keep it watered. It's fresh, it's evergreen, super easy to live. You can also, a lot of people this time of year change out and do the pansies. I'm more of a very neutral person, so I like green and white. I use very little color as far as my landscaping. So I've outlined my beds with pansies, got traditional boxwoods, the wintergreen and green velvets, and some hollies. But fresh pine straw this time of year is great going into the winter, and it also kind of helps the root systems as far as any plants that you've got when you have harsh winters, such as we did this past Christmas. So good time to put out pine straw is now. It gives a little fresh. It kind of leads you into winter, and then of course in the spring, March, April is when you kind of put out that second round of pine straw, and it keeps your beds real nice and manicured.